Morning.
Good morning, Coach. Thanks for joining us. We'll begin with Greg Barnes.
Good morning, Phil. Mac mentioned Sam Howell's running ability kind of being the catalyst for the offense this year. When you first got him 2 years ago, did you envision that he could potentially become this type of dynamic runner?
So the quarterback running has always been a component in the offense. And then what happens is you either heat it up and you emphasize it, Greg, because the quarterback is gifted enough to be a weapon in that part of the game, or you don't. Sam came out of high school, a very accomplished runner. Now he's running against some different cats at this level than he is in high school. And so you'd like to see the slide aspect be a bigger part of what he does. And he's used that in the past, these last couple of years. But this year, I think we have depth in the quarterback room, and we know Sam is a run weapon. And really it's a scenario of need. I mean, we had a need for some backup quarterbacks in our room the last 2 years, and we were going to heat up Sam last year with the emergence of Jace Ruder as a backup for us. And then, as he was hit with injuries, we wound up feeling like we didn't have the same depth in the quarterback room again behind Sam. And so there was a need to try and keep him healthy because of the depth. This year, I've got Jacoby Criswell and Drake May in the room. And, and we got two other younger guys that I love our room. And we've got 5 guys in there that are working their tail off and they can execute. So we feel like because we have more depth, we can heat Sam up and use him as a run weapon in the system. And I don't think that'll change anytime soon this season.
Thanks.
Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, with the offensive line's performance Saturday night versus, I guess, the first 2 games, and I know that you had 3 different starters up there, but a couple of the other starters did play some. What was the difference, especially executing that stuff from tackle to tackle in the run game?
I really think Virginia Tech is the anomaly. We had communication issues at center and communication issues in general up front. And I think that was the biggest issue for us, in the opener. Those communication issues were compounded by the crowd and the atmosphere and all that stuff. So we've been through that, but that wasn't an issue last week. And it certainly wasn't an issue this week. We weren't thrilled about how we blocked the run game last week, particularly in the first half. I thought we were a little more physical in the second half. And, the other thing that's changed is THI, Chandler, and Caleb Hood. Caleb is starting, he got his first real action in this game here against Virginia. So it was really the first time to see him on multiple plays, multiple reps, multiple carries. And then with THI, I just think THI he's kind of kicked it into gear a little bit. I thought he was a lot more decisive. I thought he ran a lot more downhill. I thought he ran with a lot more authority in this past game than he did the first 2. And keep in mind, he's a veteran, played in the SEC, but he hadn't played in the ACC. He hadn't seen defenses are different here schematically than they are there. And he's in a different offense, and he's also playing on an every down basis for the most part. I mean, we rotate some guys in, but he's the guy right now. And I think that takes a little bit of getting used to. And so things kind of clicked. Now we went into this past game with both tackles and our center not slated to start the game. And they all gave us some adequate reps to spell everybody. But you had guys like William Barnes and Ed Montilus step up. And you had those 3 veterans come back and actually give us some reps and give us some time. So we're actually in a 7 or an 8 lineman roll through in terms of how many we could actually play. For a while there, it looked like we were only going to have 5. We wound up playing 7 or 8, and they played very well. And I think that's a big reason why we were able to run the football against Virginia.
As a follow-up, knowing what William Barnes has been through since he got to Carolina, how personally satisfying is it to see him step up and play the way he did the other night, have a big role, and as Max said a few minutes ago, played the best game he has at Carolina?
It's exciting to watch Williams' progress because I kind of liken him to Antoine Green. We recruited, when I was at Ole Miss, we recruited Antoine Green and William Barnes and Ed Montilus very, very heavily. And those were 3 players that we did not get at Ole Miss, and they wound up coming to North Carolina. And I alluded to this a week or 2 ago, excited when I got here that AG was here. also was excited that Ed and William were here, and all three of them have kind of been on this, hey, we know they can be good. We know they have great upside, and we just have to keep coaching them and keep getting them to progress and get them to a point where they can be, starters here. And Ed played his best football last week, and he played significant reps and was consistent. And that in the past has been his issue. I think he's in better shape now. I think he understands the game as well as he has the entire time that he's been here. And I think he's playing with the most confidence right now. And then William is the same. I mean, William is very athletic. And he kind of had to work through the mental curve. And as he's cleaned up the mental aspect of his game, he's become a very effective, very athletic lineman for us. And he performed very well in the game on Saturday as well. So we're thrilled about them. And obviously AG's opportunity came a little bit sooner, and he's playing well for us. So I've been thrilled. I still remember sitting in William Barnes's living room recruiting with the O-line coach dancing in the living room with his mom, trying to get this kid to be interested in Ole Miss. And now I'm happy that coach didn't do a very good job when he came to North Carolina, because we're obviously very thrilled that they're playing well for us right now.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Let's go over to Ross Martin, please.
Yeah, kind of another O-line question. Is very closely related. Those starters didn't start, but they did play. What can you tell us about what happened there in terms of Tucker, Anderson, and Azudu coming back in, as to why they didn't start or what happened to bring them in later?
So Brian, we're just trying to limit his time until he gets back to 100%, which I think we're close to now. I think we feel really good about where he is now, but leading into the game, it's always let's wait and see how he's feeling, and we get the report from the trainers, and then Stacy will decide what kind of rotation we want to have with them based on how they're playing. He's the one that's watching the box, and every position coach is going to eye up their guys and handle their rotation, and that's just how we do it here. And so unless I actually need a specific player for a specific play or a specific situation, I'm really not going. We've all talked about the rotation. We all know exactly how and why and when we want to use these guys. So they handle the rotation. And if I need somebody, I'll call them. And if I don't, then I think we're good. We have that plan ahead of time. Going into the game on Saturday with UVA, Jordan Tucker had missed some practices. And so we didn't start him because William Barnes had a great week, and it's just a next man up deal. And we started him and he played, and Tucker was able to come back and give him some reps and spell him, so they were both fresh. And then with Easy, it's just he's on the mend with getting nicked in Virginia Tech. None of them are serious. And all three we feel like will be back for Georgia Tech. And we're kind of, I wouldn't say we're full strength, but we're in a better boat right now, numbers wise up front, than we have been the first 3 weeks of the season.
And a quick follow with Josh Downs. I mean, he's made some incredible plays. I mean, what can you say about him? Is there a player that you can compare him to that you're seeing in football that he reminds you of, or you've coached? It just seems he's doing some next level things that we haven't seen before.
I think that he reminds me of Elijah Moore, really. Elijah Moore was the slot that we recruited at Ole Miss. And he, all he did last year was lead the NCAA in receiving. So he was a good vertical speed, and phenomenal speed and quickness, in from 0 to 30 yards. I mean, just fantastic change of direction guy. I think in a man situation, he's almost not coverable, and we just have to do a good job of earmarking targets for Josh. And we move him around, and we're going to motion him, and we put him in the backfield, and we'll do all kinds of things with him, as we have shown in the last 3 or 4 weeks, dating back to even the Texas A&M game, because he's capable of doing that stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw him run the football. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw him at wideout. Wouldn't be surprised if you saw him, tucked in the box somewhere. We're going to do everything and anything we can to get Josh touches, and he is one of those explosive players that we have in the system this year.
Okay, let's go to CL Brown.
Yeah, Phil, kind of piggybacking off of Josh Downs. I was curious if about a month ago you told us that you smile every time you hear his name because of, kind of the possibilities he had. But since he's got these 3 games under his belt now, is there anything that you look at that you've kind of been surprised at how quick he took to, or basically, are there any things that he's done better than you expected?
I think that one of the biggest benefits to Josh Downs is his willingness to learn the game. And so we have a very intelligent player at that position. You know, and I smile a lot because I've been very, very blessed, CL, to have some good slots. You know, at Sam Houston State, we had a player by the name of Jedediah Lewis. He had over 300 catches in his career. And he was very much at that level, you know, what Josh was like here. And then I go to Ole Miss and we have A.J. Brown. And, you know who that is, right? And he's doing a good job in the NFL right now. And he was a mismatch guy. And then we went to Elijah Moore, you know, who just got drafted. And so I come here and we've got Daz Newsome. So I've just been really blessed to have these slots. And so we haven't really had to change the focus in this offense with regard to trying to put one of our best athletes at that slot position. And now maybe, and that's some great company to be in. And now we have Josh Downs. And I don't know, they all have their strengths and their weaknesses, but I'm not sure that Josh Downs isn't the best COD, the best change of direction guy that we've had in that position in a long time.
All right, let's go over to Ken Segura.
Sorry about that. Coach, you, Georgia Tech, they ran a different look with the 3-3 that they hadn't done in a while. I'm curious if that kind of complicates your preparations for this week.
No, it's that's an aspect of football that's been coming on. You know, I think the three safety stuff has been gaining popularity over the last couple of years. It was one of my off-season projects to a guy that helps us right now with regards to some preparation every week. I met him because I was searching out people who knew what we call the ghost defense, the three safety stuff. And so that was a huge off-season project to prepare for, because you think you're probably going to see some of that, you know, at some point in the season. The other one at this off-season was, you know, the box defense, the box stuff, the front stuff that the Rams are doing right now. I think that's gaining some popularity. And so those were the two things that we looked at in the offseason, just in preparation for seeing something different, particularly against teams that are searching for an identity on defense, or searching for ways to improve, or searching for ways to defend us. You just want to be ready and prepared for some of those things that you could potentially see that you haven't in the past. And so those were two things that we studied in the offseason. It paid great dividends in the game against Virginia because they ran the three safety stuff. Georgia Tech unleashed it or unveiled it at Clemson, and it gave them some issues, and they run it very well, and they have a good understanding of what they're trying to accomplish in that defense. They also, it's still a big chapter in their defense, is to run the 4-down stuff with the movement and the twist and all that they ran last year. And they showed a little of that also against Clemson. So we're going to need to be ready for the three safety stuff and the 4-down stuff. And it's very similar to last week with regards to what we're going to see on defense, because Virginia employed, a very similar approach.
Thank you.
Adam Smith, go ahead.
Hey, Phil. On the subject of THI Chandler, and you said, he's kind of kicked it in gear a little bit. I don't know if maturity is the right way to phrase it. Just what have you seen from him in his approach? He has told us for a couple of weeks, even before he had the big game, about trying to work on the details, and he called them the little things. He's mentioned footwork, vision, just some of the finer points, I guess. Like, what have you seen from him in his approach toward trying to get better and be more productive?
So, I think his mentality going into this game, I think he feels like he's more capable of being a more productive guy than he was in games 1 and 2. I know he came out of the Virginia Tech game not happy with his overall production. We probably had an opportunity to run the ball better in the first half against Georgia State, and we didn't. And I know he, along with the rest of the team, were disappointed about that. So I just think he made it a point in his mind to prepare as best he could and run in the Virginia game with some authority. You know what I mean? And I do believe also that Coach Porter helped him and the rest of the running backs with regards to understanding who to expect. When you beat the line of scrimmage, who's greeting you, who's going to be there, like have an understanding as to what you're going to see on the other side of the line of scrimmage. I know that was a part of their conversation. I think he's been working with all those guys in that room, but particularly with THI, because we do believe he can be very productive. And I think he showed that at Virginia. And I'd like to believe now that we're going to see that type of running back out of THI for the rest of the season. I think he got in a groove, a little bit of a rhythm. Obviously, we have to play better up front to help running backs do that. But we're getting to a point where we're able to be balanced and be productive on both sides, running and throwing the football. And this is, as you well know, this is where we want to be offensively.
Thank you.
All right, last one will come from Gregory Hall.
Hey, Phil, how do you expect Josh Downs's, I guess, threat towards defenses to help your other receivers in kind of the passing game, considering Josh is most likely going to get a lot of attention moving forward with 2 games over 100 yards already?
I think anytime you only have one, it's easy to double team or bracket that one and really minimize and eliminate productive plays in the passing game. I feel thankful that AG is playing the way that he is. He didn't get a lot of targets Saturday. The one he caught and got us a first down. Just based on the way they were playing things, they did not crowd Josh as much as we expected. And when they don't do that, we're going to get him the football. And I think when we have to be more creative to get him the ball, we will. But he is going to need the supporting cast of Emory Simmons and Joffrey Brown and Antoine Green. And I think where we are right now with the receivers, I feel good about that entire unit. And so much like you have in the past, there's going to be days where it's Antoine Green with the big day. There's going to be days where it's Joffrey Brown or Emory. And obviously there are going to be days where Josh has big game. So it really depends on what the defense wants to do and who they want to take away. But because Josh is so explosive, we're probably going to go the extra mile there to make sure that regardless of what they do, we have an opportunity to target him with the football when we can.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate a few minutes.
All right. You'll have a great week.